What is that cool chord I'm playing right there? If you like soft rock, you hear it a lot. That is what you'll hear called a sus4 chord, or a 5/7 sus chord. And it's kind of cool, and it's kind of jazzy, and it's used in a lot of modern popular songwriting, and it is used in place of a dominant 7th chord. So if I'm playing that's a D major 7. If I'm in D and I want to play the 5 chord of D, which normally might be like an A7, I can use this chord instead, and it gives me a little bit more of an open sound. And today I'm going to show you my favorite 2 ways to play that dominant sus chord. And we'll talk about what's different about that chord. First, I'm going to show you my favorite 2 shapes of it. So let's continue to assume that we're in D. So I'm playing a D major 7, which is going to consist of 5th fret, 5th string, 4th string, 7th fret, 3rd string, 6th fret, 2nd string, 7th fret. And I'm only plucking the middle 4 strings, strings 2 through 5. Okay, I can bar this right here and play strings 1 through 5 if I want to. But right now I'm just playing the middle 4 strings. Okay, now to go to the 5, this is a D major 7. To go to the 5, my root note's now going to be A. Okay, so A on string 6. Okay, so instead of playing an A7, which you probably know as being like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ring finger and I'm going to fret string 6 on fret 5. There's my A. I'm going to skip string 5. Skipping string 5, and my pinky on string 4, fret 5. So it's playing a G. And you'll note that G is the 7 of A. So that already has the 7th chord sound. Okay, my second finger, my middle finger here, is going to play fret 4, string 3. And then my index finger, finger 1, is going to play string 2, fret 3. You'll notice that with these 3 fingers, my pinky, middle, and index finger, I'm actually playing a G major chord. And one of the names that we have for the sus chord is G over A, because it's G over A. Okay. Now, if I want to, I can take my index finger and flatten it out, and I can play this G up here as well, so that it sounds like this. Okay. So that's one way of playing that sus chord. So you got your D1, that's your 1 chord. You could, of course, just play regular D major if you want. Here's your 1 chord to your 5 chord. I'm playing the full chord with the G on top. I actually like just playing string 6 and 4, 3, 2. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. You've got that sus4 chord. I am going to talk about in just a minute why that's called a sus chord. We'll get to that in a minute. But I want to show you my other way of doing it, the easy way of playing a sus chord. So let's now say that we're in the key of G major, and so we're playing a G major 7, classic G major 7 voicing, where you're using strings 6, 4, 3, and 2. And so it's string 6, 3rd fret, string 4, 4th fret, string 3, 4th fret, and string 2, 3rd fret. And now to go to the 5 of G, we're going to go to up here to D on the 5th fret. Okay, so here's D. So how do we play our sus chord here? We're actually going to just flatten our fingers straight across that 5th fret and play the middle 4 strings. Okay. And actually that can also be called C over D, and if you play just strings 2, 3, and 4, you are playing a C chord over D. Okay, so there's C over D. So that sound has the same kind of sound. Okay, and it has the same function, you can tell, as a D7, which would be like this. So it's the same function as a D dominant 7. Okay. So 2 voicings of the dominant 7 sus chord. One is like this. Okay, so again I'll show you, this is the A7 sus. So string 6 fret 5, string 4 fret 5, string 3 fret 4, string 2 fret 3. Now I'll let you get a good look at my hand doing it. You can flatten this finger out here. Or just playing the middle 4 strings and just flattening your finger across there. You can actually play the string 1 too. You can play that high note if you want to. Okay. Both of these are strummable. So if I'm playing, say if I'm playing the first one I showed you, now for that to work out, this finger needs to be just touching string 5, so you get string 5 not ringing out. It's a little bit tricky to play. And then to this. Also strummable. Okay, so the sus4 chords. Now I'm going to go to the piano and show you why it's called a sus chord or a sus4 chord. Okay, so what do we mean by sus? Well, let's start by playing a G7 chord. Okay, you'll notice a G7 chord is built with G, B, D, and F. There's my G7 chord. Now just to make this sound a little bit more rich, I'm going to take the bass note and move it down here. So there's my G7 chord. You can hear it wants to resolve 5, 1. It wants to resolve to C major. G is the 5 of C and it wants to resolve to C. Okay, so here's my G7 chord. I'm going to drop the 5th out because we don't need the 5th. You can still hear that's a G7 chord, resolving to the 1. Okay, so it's the 3rd, B, the 3rd of the G7 chord, that we're going to remove and replace with this C, the 4th of G. Now it's actually called suspended. I always thought of it in my mind as this note being suspended above the note that it wants to resolve to. But actually, what I understand is that it's suspended over, it's held over from a previous chord, like from the G chord. It's held over, or suspended over from the C chord, and it wants to resolve down to there. Okay, now in pop and jazz songwriting, we usually add the 9 of this chord as well, which is going to be, the 9 of G is going to be A, so that's the whole chord, that's the whole sus chord. This is the suspended note, the C, we've added the 9, And you'll notice that what this actually is A, C, F makes an F major chord, and it's F over G. There's my C, there's my 1 chord, there's my 5. 5, 1, 5, 1. Okay, so that's what I was playing on the guitar, and I'll go back to the guitar now and show you how to practice this. So I recommend going back and forth between the 1 and the 5, just like I was playing before. But if you're new to sus chords, I recommend that you first play a 1 major 7. Let's say we're in the key of C, so C major 7 is our 1 chord. And then go to a normal G7. That's your 5 chord, your G7. And then go back to your 1, and then go to your sus chord, your G7 sus. And that teaches your ear the difference between the two. So you're going to play with your fingers, thumb and fingers 1, 2, 3 of your right hand, and you're going to go or if you want to play a little hipper pattern, you could go. And hear it going 1, 5, 1. So practice very, very slowly at first. Give yourself lots of time. You could go like this. Very slowly. And then do the same thing where the 1 chord, the major 7 chord that you're playing, is built on a bass note that's on string 6. Okay, so that practice would sound like this. Or a little hipper rhythm. And then I recommend that you also try strumming them. So the first exercise might go like this. And then the other one might go like this. Remember always to practice at your own pace. If these sus chords are something that you haven't ever played before, that's good enough. You're always wanting to practice things that you've never done before. But don't practice at a pace that makes practice grueling or hard for you. Practice should be enjoyable. So slow it down, take it in small chunks. If you're not ready for the metronome yet, do it as slow as you want and make sure that you really enjoy your practice. And then incorporate these sus chords into the songs you're playing and the songs that you're writing, and listen for them on the radio and the songs that you really love. You'll hear them all over the place. All right, enjoy!